haters if they're red. Fucking amen. CIA man. Who can buy a government so cheap? Change a cabinet without a squeak. Fucking amen. CIA man. Who can train gorillas by the dozens? Send them out to kill their untrained cousins. Fucking amen. CIA man.
Howdy y'all and welcome back. $20 war belt. I hate that term, kinda, because most of us are not actually going to war in them, are we? But battle belt really isn't much better, and I don't know, gun belt? I don't know. Anyway, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it battle belt, I guess. So this was sent in by Marcus. Thank you very much, sir. And it times very appropriately because I was in the process, having just finished up my plate carrier setup, was in the process of updating my war belt. So the belt I've been using in training classes and stuff is like late 90s, mid 90s technology, a basic ass Uncle Mike's cheapo belt with some Blade Tech crap that came with my M&P from like 2008. So it was definitely time, especially for the sake of Gun Channel, to update my stuff and kind of get with it. So I'd been spending hours and hours and hours and hours shopping online, researching and watching videos and trying to figure out which direction I wanted to go in building out a new belt. As most of you probably already know, but if you're new to guns and gear, there are two basic belt styles. And that is, you either have an inner belt that goes through your belt loops and has like female Velcro on the outside, and then the actual war belt that goes around that and clicks together in the front. And it has the male Velcro, so it Velcros onto your inner belt, and that locks you into your pants. The other option, and there are different configurations of this, would be a rigger's belt or duty belt that runs through a padded belt, and the padded belt itself will contain like molly webbing and stuff, or some kind of webbing to affix gear to, or a nylon belt with a pad around the inside, like just on the inside. And that's what this one is. So there is definitely like a lot to be said for having an inner-outer belt combo, because that inner belt is locked into your belt loops, which attaches it to your pants, which are attached to your body. And so then when you Velcro on that outer belt, it locks in and it is not going anywhere. And that allows you to be like, you don't have to have everything cinched on quite as tight. But I wanted to build a belt, kind of an oh shit belt. So I want something that I can just, if I'm in my underoos and ISIS starts falling out of the sky, I can just grab it and put it on right around my underoos and run out the door with my underoos and my plate carrier and my belt. So joking aside, I wanted a rig that was rapid deployment. And so that put me into the category of belts that don't require an inner Velcro belt, where you have to sit and put that on first, and then you put the, yeah. So that was the direction I was shopping, and that's what this is. So let's take this over to the table and get a little bit closer look, and I'm just going to warn you now, you're going to hear a lot of crunchy Velcro sounds, and that is one of my least favorite sounds in the world. And if you're like me, I apologize. Let's check it out. All right, so let's start out with the buckle. We've got sort of a Cobra buckle style, much lighter weight than a Cobra buckle, but it seems to be pretty stout. I haven't had any issue with it coming undone or anything. And, you know, that for $20, that's a pretty darn decent buckle, I'd reckon. And the belt itself, so you've got the inner padded section. It velcros onto the nylon belt section. And to get anything on or off of this, you need to take the buckle off. And so looking at this, this is some pretty thin nylon, but it very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and remove. Good sound. It very quickly mates into this section, which is a much thicker section of nylon, and it feels like some plastic reinforcement in there. And that is, on the one side, you have a laser cut moly type stuff, which is pretty thin, but also probably should be pretty strong, and is very tightly double stitched on either side. And that stitching runs through the Velcro. So this Velcro all the way down is stitched onto the belt. So it's not going to go anywhere. So all in all, that is a pretty stout design, I think. Again, talking about this price point, you're getting a lot of quality for the money. So everything I have attached on here, I have just run through the entire belt itself, because this is my old school Blade Tech mag pouch. Got the Safariland holster that I just got in this morning. We'll have a whole video on that coming up later in the week. And just a little tourniquet pouch there, and it's just snapped on. So I'm not actually using any of this. I did test out some different Molly gear that I have, and it works. You get one bite, but that's about your proper 1-inch spacing. So it just kind of barely goes over, and you get one pass through. But it works. You could also, any of your clippy Blade Tech gear or whatever, it's all going to go on there just fine. Standard 2-inch. The pad comes in at just barely over 2.5 inches. And this neoprene is it's very, very thin. If you were training a whole lot in this in the blazing hot Texas summer, I would give it like one season probably. But if you're doing kind of normal training, 3 or 4 classes a year, a little bit of range time here and there, it would probably last you years. I've definitely had quite a lot of little stringies coming off here and there, but that's, again, the price point. The male Velcro is double stitched in at both sides and has one long seam, so it's not going anywhere. It's the actual quality of this neoprene that I'm a little bit skeptical of. This stuff is not all created equal, but again, for the price point, I think it's really solid, and it is definitely much more comfortable than wearing a standard, like an Uncle Mike's just plain old rigger's belt. This really adds a lot of comfort and allows you to squeeze it in on yourself without pinching and cutting off circulation at the hips. So for what it is, I think it's a pretty darn, really darn good value. Value being the word here. So when that folds over like so, the padded belt comes in and locks it in place. It's not going to go anywhere. And I can absolutely recommend it at this price point. All right, so here is a bit of a departure from my normal gun and gear snobbery. You need a belt to put your holsters and shit on so that you can get to training classes. So, if you need to do that on a budget, do it on a budget. Get out there and do it. Don't hold off from getting training because you feel like you can't afford the fanciest shit that you saw Grand Thumb or somebody wearing, and you're like, oh well, I gotta hold it. Like, no, man, get yourself out there and get doing it. Or even if you're just gonna put your stuff on and LARP in your garage or your studio or wherever you do your dry practice, get it on, put it on your body, and get to practicing. And that's going to get you set up for success when you do get to a training class. In fact, I recommend do a whole lot of practicing at home before you get to that first class. Just make sure you're practicing correctly so that the instructor doesn't have to unfuck a bunch of bad habits you've taught yourself. So, yeah, sometimes, cheap kit has a place because it gets you on the road to getting better. So get on it. Do it. Absolutely. This rig has helped me narrow down and figure out finally what I wanted to order myself, which ended up being a high-speed gear 1 3/4 belt with their laser cut duty sure grip pad that's going to go around that. So I'll be building that out over the coming weeks, and you'll be along for the ride. So it's not entirely unlike this, but it's sort of pretty kind of different, and obviously a much heavier grade stuff. But same concept. Like I said, I wanted something I can just click on, and it's going to use force around me versus having to web through an inner belt through the loops, and then, yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll have that coming in the next week or so. For my regular viewers, I'm about to go get my second Rona shot tomorrow, which my wife got hers on Saturday and laid her butt out. So I'm kind of expecting the same thing. So may not have any videos for a few days, but I have some more gear trickling in, and we'll start building out the belt. And just got the Safariland in for the 229, so I'll be shaking that out. And lots more to come, but there will be a little lull here I'm expecting for a couple of days. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, be easy, y'all.